The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
There happens to be a family in Klal Yisrael, a very well-known family, that has what we call Torah Ugdula b'Makom Echad. Some of their married children are tremendous Talmidei Chachamim, Magidei Shiurim, Rabbanim, amazing. And another part of their family has children who are B'nai Torah, but tremendously wealthy, affluent, philanthropic, and generous people. And the grandfather has some of his children who are incredibly wealthy, others that are great Talmidei Chachamim, as we call Torah Ugdula b'Makom Echad. Someone one time said to him, like, why are you Zeicha? Every one of your children is a star. No one's regular. No one's average. He said, I don't know. But I happen to have one story from when I was a lot younger that's in the back of my mind. And I just wonder if this is why the Rabbi Shalom gave me this incredible hatzlacha with my children. This fellow says, please tell me the story. He says, I'm going to tell you like this. I grew up in the old Yerushalayim. And in those days, life was very different than it is nowadays. In those days, if you had pshitut regel, you went bankrupt, you owed money to somebody, and you weren't able to pay it, the police would come into your apartment one day, there'd be a large truck outside, and they would empty every single thing out of your apartment. Your furniture, your appliances, your beds, your couch, your kalim, your vessels, your kitchen stuff, everything out of your house. And they would take it to this large open lot by Machane Yehuda, which is controlled by the police, and they would sell it off. And whatever money they made, pennies on the dollar often, that money would go to pay the person that you owed the money to. And this was a terrible situation where you could have somebody who was quite affluent, and he did a bad deal, and he wasn't able to pay someone that he owed money to, and out of the blue, a police truck would come and they would clear out every single thing in his apartment. And what was even worse was that they had this kind of sinister mafia type of people that would buy it off for a small amount of money, and they would sell it for a large amount of money, and probably the police took a kickback. And it was an impossible situation. If anyone tried to buy it back, these fellows, these mafia people would threaten them. And if a person lost their stuff, there was almost no chance they'd ever get it back. This grandfather said, one time I was driving by, and I see a truck coming, and it's unloading content. And I recognize the content. I recognize a couch, and I know that couch. I recognize a kitchen table and chairs, and a dining room table and chairs, and a break front, and I recognize, and all of a sudden my heart stops. It was a competitor of mine. I was a builder, was another builder, and obviously he must have done a bad deal, and they took everything away. I couldn't believe it. My heart went out for him, and I went into this large migrash, this large compound, and I said, I'm buying it back for him. And I started bidding, and they looked at me, and they glowered at me, and they said to me, you better watch yourself. And I didn't listen, and I kept bidding higher and higher. They tried bidding me out, hoping that I would walk away, and then they would make the underhand, under the table deal and just pay part of it. But I wouldn't back out, and I bid more and more until it was an astronomical sum. And at that point, they just said, you know what, so today won't be our day. And I bought it all, and I went back to the truck driver, and I said, I want to do some personal business with you. Please load everything back onto the truck and bring it to the fellow's house and put everything back exactly where you took it from. I'll pay you well. And I did. I did exactly like I said. I didn't tell anyone anything. Over the next day or two, this fellow who got all his furniture and all his utensils and everything back put two and two together and somehow realized that it was me. And he came over to my house and he began to cry and he says, you were the one that did it, weren't you? And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He says, I know it was you. And I said, at the end, okay, it was me. So I want to tell you something. It wasn't just the shame and the incredible poverty and how destitute we were at that point. We had nothing left in our house. But when my wife saw that we didn't have a couch to sit on, we didn't have a pot to cook and a bed to sleep on, she said she's finished, she's leaving and she's taking the children with me. And my life was totally in shambles. I lost my money and I lost my whole family. When that truck came back and it brought everything back, my entire life was restored to me. You saved my dignity. You saved my mishpacha. I can never repay you. You saved my life. This wealthy grandfather said, I have a feeling that the reason the Rabbi Shalom rewarded me so amply with children that are Torah Gedula b'Makom Echad was because of that one act of Mesiras Nefesh.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org